Today, December 12th in the year 2025, is the 494th anniversary of the miraculous image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This is a miracle that rates right up there with the miracle of the sun that took place in Fatima, Portugal in 1917. It rates right up there with the Shroud of Turin. It's just another in a long line of Catholic miracles. Now, if you've read your Bible and you've ever wondered, what does Mary, the mother of Jesus, look like? What does Jesus look like? What does St. Joseph look like? Well, there she is. This is the miraculous image that Mary herself imprinted on the cloak of Juan Diego in the year 1531. Now, his cloak was made of a very rough cactus fiber, which normally disintegrates after 20 years. But here she is, over 500 years later, and the cactus fiber tilma has not deteriorated. The image is still pristine. There's a little fring, around the edges, but the image itself remains perfect 500 years later. It survived a bomb that went off right in front of it. It's survived the smoke from all the candles and all the other conditions. And 500 years later, there it is, the miraculous image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, there are a couple of things I want to point out. First, the miracle of the image itself, all right, which has been examined by scientists dozens, maybe even hundreds of times. Nobody can tell what it's made of. It's not paint. It's not clay. They don't know how this image got there. It's miraculous. What I want to bring your attention to is, first of all, the eyes here. Now, you can't see it from where you are, but scientists have taken infrared cameras and photographed the eyes. They've gotten right up to very close. And inside the eyes of this image, you can see a reflection of people in front of the image. It's as if it shows you the bishop at that time of Mexico and the other people that were with him. You can see them inside the eyes of this image, and it's not a reflection from the outside as if somebody was standing here and you can see the reflection from the outside of the eye. It's a reflection that comes from inside the eye. Okay? It shows you from looking from inside of the eye outward, the people that were standing there in front when this image was revealed. That's pretty miraculous. Also, these stars here that you see on the cloak that she's wearing, it appears at first glance that they're just up there, in no prearranged order. But astronomers have studied this picture, and it turns out that these stars on the cloak that Mary is wearing actually correspond perfectly to the stars in the constellation in Mexico in the year 1531 on December 12th, at the exact moment that this image materialized itself. These stars show the constellation that was in the sky at that time, and not only that, but just like the eyes, these stars don't show the constellation that we would see from Earth looking up into the heavens. It shows the constellation of the stars, what they would look like from someone in the heavens looking down at Earth. Something that no human could possibly have known. So, this is real physical evidence. You can see it, you can touch it, although no one's going to let you touch this. It's in glass and it's very safely kept. But scientists have touched it, they've studied it. It's actual physical proof, physical evidence of Mary, the mother of Jesus, as she imprinted herself on this tilma that belongs to Juan Diego. Juan Diego was an Indian peasant. Now, 10 years before this picture, in 1521, Hernan Cortez and his conquistadors overthrew the diabolically evil Aztec Empire. The Aztecs were Satan worshippers. They would sacrifice people to their god, Satan. They would rip the person's heart out and then eat the body. Mainly children. It was almost all children. They would rip the child's heart out and then eat their dead body. They were cannibals. They were Satan worshippers. Hernan Cortez begged the Aztecs to give up this diabolical practice, but the Aztecs refused, so Cortez had no choice but to, overthrow them forcefully, which he did. However, a lot of the Indians did not want to convert to the Catholic faith. Juan Diego was one of the first. He did convert to the Catholic faith, and that's why he was used as the messenger to deliver this picture. Mary met him one morning. He was going to Mass, and she met him and said to tell the bishop that she wanted a chapel built there. And so he went back. He told the bishop. Of course, the bishop didn't believe him. He went back there a couple of times. Finally, Mary said, go up to that hill and pick some flowers. And so it's wintertime. There should have been nothing growing there, but he went up to the hill. There were beautiful roses and flowers there. He picked them, brought them back to her. She wrapped them up in his cloak, his tilma, and then brought it up to his neck and tied it there at the neck. And she said, you go to the bishop and you unfold your tilma and you show him these rosaries. That's the proof that I am who I say I am. So Juan Diego did that. He went back to the bishop and he opened his cloak, and the roses and the flowers, they fell to the ground, but the image was imprinted on his tilma miraculously at that very time. And so the bishop and the other people with him, they all fell to their knees because they knew that this was the proof that he had actually had an apparition of the actual Mary, the mother of Jesus. So now I want to remind you that there are tens of thousands of religions in the world. Tens of thousands. And outside of the Catholic Church, all of those religions combined, they do not have one single miracle among them. Not one. Meanwhile, the traditional Catholic Church, the true Church of Jesus Christ, has thousands of miracles, including this one, the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, including the miracle of sun that took place at Fatima, including the Shroud of Turin, including hundreds of saints and mystics whose bodies do not decompose after death. Their bodies are dug up and the coffin is open and they look like they're sleeping. They're just sitting there like this. Their bodies don't decompose. And I could go on and on, literally thousands of miracles that the Catholic Church, including raising the dead. Jesus raised the dead. The apostles raised the dead. There are saints that have raised the dead. No other church, no other religion outside of the Catholic Church has raised anyone from the dead. So if you're not a member of the Catholic Church, I strongly urge you to consider joining. Now I've got the image here, and I can tell you a little story about this. I bought this at the Hollywood, California Farmers Market, and I was going home. I took the subway home. I went to the platform downstairs, waited for the subway. It was dark down there. There was an older guy a few feet away from me, about 6 or 7 feet. He couldn't possibly have seen this at the distance that he was, and it was dark. I mean, he was about as far away from me as you are, so can you actually see this clearly from where you are? That's how far he was, and it was dark down there. Anyway, he says to me, "Oh, that's Juan Diego, isn't it?" And I say, "Yes. Do you know about it?" And he knew all about it. He told me the whole history of the apparition. He told me the whole history of Juan Diego and the miracle of the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, isn't that a coincidence?